Welcome, everybody, to this week's rendition of the Crypt Files, your once weekly follow-up podcast to the hit In At The End actual play D&D podcast. Diving in after our most recent session where the boys are back in town.
Can we just do like a round table hot seat and just ask each character, player, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, starting with you.
Oh. What the fuck?
Milo?
That was easy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Dash?
What the fuck?
Alex?
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Hey, Rhett, let's turn the tables. What about you?
I just said what the fuck.
Thank you.
So, like a lot to unpack in this episode. And we all reconnected, and I found it was like kind of hard to connect with this new Ben after connecting with the old Ben. But like y'all
But your friends brought you
yes,
in.
You guys did a really good job of like carrying me a little bit until I kind of found my footing a little bit. Alex really held it in there with some really great role play to bounce off of and all that as Brooch. And so what do you guys think about, number one, our reunions? And then number two, like your return to Quilton.
Ugh.
Like, do we just want to talk about reunions first and then go to return to Quilton?
Sure.
All right, let's start with returns. Valen. Dash.
Oh,
real name person.
With returns?
Sorry.
Reunions.
Our reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, it was interesting seeing how everybody had changed and
Yeah. I definitely feel like, my character, has a very, along with Ben's, we both have very jarring appearances. And
I also just
very unsettling.
Yeah. I just like was laughing so hard to myself when I realized that you were like a damn peer, and I was like,
you're reborn,
I'm
right?
a reborn.
Yeah. I know. Exactly. And I literally went, Rhett and I just looked at the exact same book and went, oh, this is sick.
And the funny part is that we literally like showed up, and you were so clear what you were going to be from the beginning that I was like trying not to think about stuff, and I was like, this is what I am, and you're like, that's what I am, and then we keep going, and you're like, this is what I am, and I'm like, wait, that's what I am. And then we're like signing off like one of the last sessions, and I was like, this is going to be so funny if we come back and we're still
and you even said you're like, I'm going to try not to make the same character as Dash.
Yeah, I had settled on Reborn like before our first. Obviously,
gotcha.
I don't know if you settled on Dampier before then or not, but the funny thing is to me is that like you were all like for Melora beforehand. I was like agnostic or something, and now I'm kind of like trying to play it the opposite, where I'm like a little, and you're like,
yeah, kind of switched roles.
I don't know why that just makes me laugh so hard.
And getting the backstory from both of you, that's why I thought this would work, is because it's like you both started with these characters in one direction, and then at level 3 now you've swapped. It's coming at the same thing but at two different angles.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very kind of poetic of the two characters, was this one losing faith and this one gaining faith.
Yeah.
I
just think that's so funny and awesome at the same time.
Yeah,
and then mechanically speaking, I think you both are very different as well.
Sweet.
Because you're going to be a charisma based melee fighter, and then a strength based, very much paladin.
Yeah.
I didn't know Dampier were strength.
Well,
Dampier's the race, the
right.
species,
and so you can be whatever
so
you
strength
want.
is the paladin
for the class.
aspect of
Oh,
it.
you
Yeah,
did
we're
do
Quilton
paladin.
Bay.
Yeah, so it basically, so Dampier is not actually a race. It's considered, same with
True,
Reborn's
yeah.
considered a lineage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can,
Because you're originally
I'm an Aasimar, yeah. And then you become this.
Yeah.
And so its bonuses is basically 2 to one thing, 1 to another.
Right.
So
Because don't you have to give up some of like your racial traits in order to pick up some?
No, you don't
Dampier?
have to. You can keep them.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I had picked anything with a flying or swimming speed, I could have kept that.
Interesting.
You could have kept your stat block or whatever and just had the like extra stat, because it all washes out the same, right? So if you're started as Aasimar, I think I ended up changing a little bit just to suit like the charisma based thing that I'm doing. But otherwise, like I'm still a dwarf. Like I look like a dwarf still. I'm just like a reborn.
A spooky dwarf.
How did everyone else feel about the reunions?
Holy shit.
I really
It was
liked.
good.
I really liked yours. Like it was very like for a moment. There was a brief moment where I was like kind of laughing because you were like role playing with yourself almost. You're like, Adelaide says
Addy,
this,
right,
and
right.
then we
Yeah, I
do
know.
this, and I was gonna
It
laugh.
was just a prompt to let me
Yeah,
say it.
but
Yeah.
then you know, you came out with this. I don't know. You probably had like the most heartwarming sort of like reunion. Because
Yeah, your character seems to be the most like positive
Yeah,
Like the most-
I can tell that.
Captain America
Yeah,
of us.
he's the one that is the. Is it the Mike in Stranger Things? The one that kind of is the
right.
keep the group together. Like, let's not give up, guys. Like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, like the leader,
Yeah,
Mike
well,
Wheeler.
Yeah, Mike Wheeler. Yeah. Definitely. And I wasn't necessarily going in to Simon thinking like that's how he's good. I just knew he was positive and curious
Yeah.
and kind of found things along the way.
Ooh.
Like kind of like you did.
Ooh.
So-
what? Found things along the way.
Well, you said you kind of got your footing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
we were role playing and
Yeah.
finding our characters.
Well, it felt like brand
the
new in a
game.
way, but at the same time, it was fun to have that like shared experience to draw from. Like
Yeah.
where, like, I really liked when we connected again because it was like, right, like Brooch prepared me,
The blue,
and I
right?
saw that, and I was like, that's got to count for something, you know. And I was really thinking that before with the, you know, but I gave my bone away, which kind of sucks, but yeah,
Maybe
I gave
we'll
you a
get
good
back.
pat down at least.
yeah, you tried, you really tried. But what about you in general? Like you coming back and sort of reunioning with?
Yeah,
everyone?
I was so happy that I got to be first to like find Brooch. Like that made me really happy. Just being able to like sneak up on him and be like, "Yo," was fun. Yeah, coming back to everybody. It was interesting. Like the way I imagine Ace is like he's just looking to blame somebody. And
Yeah.
he doesn't really care who it is. He even like turns on his friends a little bit and like starts being like, "Oh, well, maybe you're responsible."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Out of all the people you could have picked, you picked the most fragile.
I mean, I came to look
Emotionally.
for you and died.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, you kind of got a couple steps ahead.
Crabs ate me, bro.
And yeah, that's I don't know. It's just it's interesting playing this type of character.
Yeah. What about, like, we all kind of, I don't know how much we exactly danced around it. Like, it felt like we kind of got into the meat of it. But, like, do you guys want to, like, quickly sort of give the meat of what your life was for those 3 years so that it's a little bit more explicit for the listener?
I don't know that there's a lot kind of fleshed out for Simon, but
Just kind of vague stuff.
yeah. So he was in this kind of
Yeah, mine's all there, too, I guess.
faraway town, getting ranger training.
Yeah.
Kind of learning more of the finer aspects of ranger training.
Yeah.
And it's more of a holistic
Ranger.
schooling because there's like it's not just about the martial application and the tracking and that kind of stuff, but it's very much about the balance of life
Right.
and the principles of Zen and things like that. So he was in there. He was learning how to do calligraphy and sword play and like I mentioned to Alex, like flower arrangement and bonsai training and like all these things that cultivate person, not just like in terms of muscle and strategy, but in finesse and patience and those kinds of things. And so he spent his whole time developing these kind of skills. And even though his personality still says he's on fire all the time and positive and annoying, like he's cultured. It's just nobody knows it because he's still got
Yeah.
He's
I
still
didn't
Simon.
get that sense at all. But
Yeah.
but that'll
wait.
be fun to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it like
yeah.
unfold, you know?
Yeah, for Ace, I think some of the stuff came out. He when he was talking to his mother, stuff came out about like war weapons and
Yeah.
like they didn't pay and like there's this issue where I had to go to war and I had to fight to try and make back this money that was owed to our family. He probably would have shared with the group, in that battle. In those times, he was captured, and he was actually a prisoner for a year.
Damn.
Until they, realized, oh, he's not really part of their tribe. He's not trying to take over these temples and stuff. And they brought him in, and they started, treating him a little bit better from that. And he eventually just gave up and escaped and started looking for the captain that brought him here.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, there's actually, there was a lot of Ace's story that I was talking about with Alex, and I'm just kind of the more I think about it, the more I'm trying to flush out what really happened. And,
Right.
In the swamps, they do a lot of alchemical things, and
Right.
they mess with magics of that kind, and that's kind of where I imagine the blotches on his skin kind of come from.
I really like that detail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At kind of experimenting with some of those things, and then that's where this wild magic that emanates from him when he gets really angry comes from.
And I think, with the backgrounds for everybody, the finer details we can find out together during play. We don't have to put a pin in anything until we want to.
And that's kind of what I've been leaning on, because this is the first time I've not handed my DM a short novel of well, here's where we're at. Okay, he's a Sagittarius, and
Yeah.
We already have too many of those. We don't need
whatever.
more.
Shut up. Not in the party. Not in character, you asshole. We don't. You guys are all Aquariuses, I can tell. But yeah, this is the first time where I'm and it's really more a product of I've just been so behind in real life, but it's been nice to have number one, a party that's just you're giving me the volleys back, and then the DM who's just right there with every so I have the room to leave it all just vague enough and explore the gaps and everything and figure out where Ben really lies. What about you?
I feel like I explained pretty for the most part kind of what
Yeah.
Valen has been doing.
I feel like you had the most almost cinematic sort of reunion.
I'm glad you read that letter. You didn't have to, and I respect that you chose to.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
That was
you did,
great.
'cause it was really good.
Well written letter.
Yeah.
Well read letter.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, he spent, within the first year of hunting for these artifacts, they, the way Alex described it, basically we happened upon this island within the undersea. It's basically a sea that's underground. And we happened upon this island that was home to this bit, like a fortress of vampires, basically. And I think that's where the artifact was, and we were trying to get it from them.
Yeah,
right?
the vampires had the artifact, and they were reclaiming it from them.
And everyone pretty much died except me, and I was bitten, and then so I got away, but I turned into basically so to describe what a Dhampir is, blade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
just in case anyone wasn't
Yeah.
sure. So
Still walking this side.
Yeah, I knew all the answers to the questions I was asking you. I just wanted
gotcha.
to do that.
And so then he spent after that kind of keeping to himself and trying to figure out who he was, and then obviously feeling considerably betrayed by Melora for everything,
Yeah.
and trying to study what a Dhampir was, and then also trying to hide from Spider.
Yeah, so is that for
that
real?
was awesome.
For sure, yeah. I sent that. I sent that.
Yeah,
Spider,
that's real.
What was it? Vampire Hunter Spider?
Vampire
Yes.
Yeah,
Spider.
VHS.
Yeah.
I was like, if you want to add him to the background, absolutely, he's
Why not?
And I
That's
immediately
behind
was
you.
like,
Awesome.
"Fuck yes!"
he's a vampire.
He
Are
was
you two on a first name basis when you see each other? You're like,
No,
Dude,
it's
he's like
VHS.
he's like
VHS.
an MVP non-player character from those one shots. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
listener, if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to season 1,
The Traveling Festival.
The
the
Traveling
Traveling
Festival,
Festival
the one shots we did,
specifically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Vampire Spider makes
And
an
just listen
appearance.
to it because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
for
and that all takes place in universe
Yeah.
of Haven.
In Haven, yeah.
And
Haven,
that was one thing I really kind of liked was the, you're all talking about this is Grov and he was an Air Genasi, but now he looks like. I'm like, oh, that happened to me as Arthur. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a moment where I realized like that had to happen. It was like, oh, of course, this is how this goes down.
So
he goes from Air Genasi to Void Genasi.
and it's because he's now in service of another, or
He was in service to Melora before.
Okay.
Something
because
has
you were in
happened.
service to Eben, right?
Yeah, but I was a warlock, so that's a little different, right? So it's like what happened to me was I got
he was
trapped
your
in like the other
patron or
place,
whatever.
and like I think I don't know, I don't exactly know it, but from my perspective, it was like I got trapped in this other place, and like there was a sort of cost to like coming back to the material realm and stuff, and like I think that like touching that, like touching that source or whatever, that like other place is what sort of like corrupted my Air Genasi-esque aspect.
Because that's a plane of the abyss. That's
The abyss,
and so
thank
it's
you,
that taint of the abyss. So it's abyssal Genasi.
Hold
as
on,
opposed to
the
an
taint of the
elemental
abyss. For real? Did you just
Genasi.
say that?
Well,
Yeah, it's the taint of the abyss.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
We're
very
not
normal
talking about the
sentence.
spot between the balls and the
Not the
butthole.
abyss by the taint, but the taint of the abyss.
There you
taint
go.
of the
There you
abyss.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Alex, how are we? How this first episode go? How do you feel about the players?
Went great. There was, very little dice rolling on my part. I just knew that there was a bunch of lore to reveal about returning to Quilton.
It
Yeah.
was so
Dude,
exciting.
Dude, I got almost a little like teary-eyed in my little like thing
Yeah,
with
it
my mom.
kind
I
of
was like,
sucked.
I was. That's why I wanted to save that for last.
He's
is
brutal.
I wasn't sure what was going to happen.
yeah, I was like trying to think
Yeah.
of like the words like when I'm like doing this thing, and I was like, a mother's blessing. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
don't tear up in front of
That was
them.
really good. That was really good.
Yeah, that was like.
Yeah, what the whole thing I knew I was going to do was there was going to be something that would make me angry enough to rage. Like that was
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to get to that point. I didn't know what would lead me there, and it was like this mixture of sadness and anger. Like talking to my mother. I love role playing with you, by the way, Alex. It's so much fun.
It gives you so much meat to grab onto.
I'm really
It-
glad you didn't rage when you were getting negative on me, because I was
It
like,
ended
oh,
up
geez.
so good.
Yeah,
That was
and
amazing.
especially with that roll that I did, it was
Right,
like flowers, and I'm like, oh well, that's convenient.
I know.
At
That's
least
so-
I don't hurt my mom.
That's cinematic in its own way too. Like
It really
imagine
is.
watching that unfold.
And I feel like it made him even more mad.
yeah, in a way,
Oh,
right?
I wanted to let it out, but
Yeah.
it just came out as flowers.
This sort of like impotent rage, you know.
But yeah, that was really fun role play. Yeah, I think the way that. Oh, I also loved that Ace's mother remembered that his name is actually Adrian.
Yeah.
Right.
And she would call him Adrian.
She would call you Adrian.
Could not remember the life of. I was like,
Which
fuck,
when
is this
you
real,
said
man?
that, I was like, "Holy shit!" Alex remembered something that I kind of forgot. Yeah, I am Adrian.
And
to
yeah,
her.
your family, it was the Whittingtons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your family, and then the Drescues are the like family your mother's a part of.
Yeah.
That's the nobility that's deeper in the, and it seems they've taken over. That's
Mom's
the
side.
Drescu
Ugh.
name.
Yeah, I thought that was great. But
Yeah, it
yeah,
definitely
Yeah, I was-
sounds like we're gonna have to kill some Drescues.
I was getting like a serious like Northman vibe with that, you know, when he comes back and his mom's all like turned and everything, and he's like fucking has to kill her.
Yeah.
I was like,
That was a good
whoa.
movie.
Yeah, Northman goes hard, dude.
yeah. I think I just want Ace to blame people, and he's just going to continue to blame people.
I like that for a
Everyone but
barbarian.
me.
I think that works so well.
Yeah.
It's like you want to blame someone, you have it inside of you, and so
Yeah.
like that's how it manifests.
There's just this anger that is like unquenchable, and he's
Yeah.
always going to find some reason
Yeah.
to. You are responsible for why I can't control this.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic
You better be careful.
character, but is so toxic.
You better be
So
careful
toxic.
aiming
I mean,
it
it's a
at Ben.
barbarian.
You aim it at Ben, and I'm gonna have to help you find peace. You're gonna have to stop taking levels in barbarian by the time I'm done with you. Therapist Ben over here.
I mean, I'm going for like a chaotic kind of character, so if it comes to it,
You're well on your way for sure.
yeah, no, I think it's working well.
I wanted to play into like the priestly aspect of paladins that like you don't really see that much. Like at least like in all the times I've been playing, like people play the paladin, they're swinging their sword and they're casting their divine smite or whatever, and I remember like looking at like the stuff that paladins start with, and I'm like, oh, it's like so much like a cleric, but you'd never see people really playing
Yeah.
them in character that way. And so I was
what are you thinking when you say that?
like, for example, a censer, which is like the smoky things that like priests like swing around, like when they're doing the rosary and stuff. And they're all like paladins start with that, but like you'd never see a paladin
I've never heard that. Yeah.
right, exactly. Like they, or I guess they could start with it because it's in the
yeah.
priest pack or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Oh yeah.
you know, but I was just like, when I saw that and I was thinking about my character and everything, I was like, oh, like I don't want to be a priest, I don't want to be a cleric at all, but having this sort of like impromptu, this sort of like, not like calling or whatever, it's not, but it's like this task in front of me. It's like, okay, it can be sort of holy in its own way, unrelated to any strict religion. It's just like, I'm
it's
helping.
like you're habituated to the ritual, not the religion.
Right. Like I just
the
found
practice of these things.
I have a very real and practical way of helping lost souls, and that's what I'm doing. And it involves this sort of like practice that's like kind of solemn or whatever. Has nothing to do with, you know, the
Like the funerary.
Very, very much like a Constantine vibe.
Yeah.
Constantine. Yeah.
Knows the tools of the trade.
That's a great example. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm gonna have to make a cameo in Sandman for sure.
When is 2 coming out?
No idea. But anyway, yeah. So but that was the idea. I was like, when I saw this stuff about Paladin, I was like, why doesn't anybody play Paladins that way?
That's
like,
cool.
You know, like the traveling priest with a sword and they kill demons.
Yeah.
Like Constantine, I guess. You
Yeah.
know, like
For sure.
When you were describing your character, I was like, is this The Witcher? Like
Oh,
like with the kind of gray but not shiny
yeah,
kind of hair,
the
light eyes,
yeah.
and gray skin. And,
not quite. Much darker.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, stop.
Can we change the subject? He's making me.
I know.
I want to ask what you guys think of Quilton. You know, in these changed times.
Well, it ain't gonna last.
Yeah.
I've been
We're gonna
spending
change it.
weeks coming up
kinda-
with what has happened. You know, like what you know. In essence, where did everyone's mom go?
Yeah. Jesus, don't make
You
me
know
cry.
what? Next session, that's probably the first thing I should do is go out and make sure she's actually hunting and not
Right.
like missing and dead somewhere.
Right. Well, that was one thing, like, when we came back and you were describing the mist, you were describing, like, there was only 2 ships rather than however many, and I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of said as Ben, like, ooh, there, like, the light of Melora it grows dim, and there's a darkness here, and I was just trying to be all, like, you know, like, ooh, role-playing.
Yeah.
But then we get there, I'm like, nope, that's true.
Yeah.
Someone's
Actually
choking the
dark.
life out of Quilton.
Yeah. And it's...
or something.
And I'm going to find it, and I'm going to punch it in the balls.
Mm-hmm.
What if it? Oh.
I mean, that was
What if it's my mom?
when we came up with this idea of like having this town and then you all go away. I think I said it even at one point was I was going to JRPG this town.
Yeah, you
and that's
did.
you know, as you're playing a JRPG, you leave to go do a quest and
Yeah.
you come back and the town's burned down.
Yeah.
It's
and then
like-
you go.
and
That's
now
your
you
call to
have chapter
adventure,
2.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking it was like, oh, how am I gonna burn this place down, but keep it as something that's gonna be like this
You literally burned
place
my
full of
place down.
adventure.
Yeah.
I literally
That is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did literally burn your place
There's
down.
just enough to keep us there and keep it alive and keep us like wanting to protect
Right.
it and stay connected.
Yeah,
to
like
it.
not all hope is lost for this
But
place.
so much is gone that
Yeah, I definitely did not resonate with the like, it's time to return Quilton to its glory days. But I did resonate with my own idea of, anyway, of, you know, basically fucking exercising this place or whatever. So,
Well, the thing is that Quilton is that unifying aspect of all of our problems right now.
I did like putting the quilt on the
Yeah.
table. That was cool.
Yeah, that was
A
fun.
tablecloth.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm
We don't
wearing.
want any
I
rings
was
on
so
the bar
down
top.
to pull out my my quilt.
I kind of envisioned that Ben like put his quilt on during the storm and he went overboard, and it's just never left his body since. Like, so
Yeah,
he's
oh,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of where Ben's at.
Oh, I did want to say, so something, you know, that changed some of my plans was that session we had last time, and it was Ben taking Brooch out to try and find Ace.
Yeah,
And
That was
we had
fantastic.
talked about your backstory, and I realized that Brooch had a hand in your death.
yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I was like, what does that mean? And you've seen Brooch, I think, has blamed himself this whole time.
Well, and that was like what you said, like he kind of started covering up Melora's eyes, right?
And that's
Like,
right. That's he.
That's enough to turn
Can't-
anyone away
exactly.
from their deity.
She
Yeah.
was supposed to protect the two of you on the way, and what happened instead was you died. He had to break down, tell your mom. That's how he got his scar.
Oh, whoa! I didn't even put that together.
Oh, did you not? His scar is
No.
from a burn.
Yeah, I knew that it was a burn scar. You said that,
And-
and I just envisioned it like a fucking bar fight and somebody.
No,
like,
well, he didn't he say that when you guys were in the house? He said, and that's how I got this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, or I
I'm
think
sorry, I
he
missed
kind of
that.
pointed to it, or I said
Yeah.
that he had pointed to it.
I knew that. Yeah, when you were explaining that he was there, sorry, that went right over my head.
Oh, gotcha.
Wow, that's
Yeah, I didn't catch that either.
Jesus, that's sad.
I was wondering, like, how
Yeah, I wanted
how
to-
did
I
she
would
like
be
start
real
everything
sad.
on fire? Like, what
Yeah, I
the
was
deal with
wondering that too. I was like, ooh, that sounds like fucking mystical.
Undiagnosed pyrokinesis.
Yeah. That's
Rage.
what's crazy is like when I met Baruch, I did not anticipate him having this like big of a role to play in Ben's life, but like he really is like right now the anchor to Quilton and
Yeah.
like my mom and like all of these things.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I think he's been trying to prepare you for
Yeah.
these
Man.
this day when you return.
It's like his
like,
responsibility.
For sure,
because
he's been holding
he took
that
it away from him.
Exactly.
essentially.
Yeah.
And I like that though, but he did it right. He prepared me so that I wasn't like, all right, you
And
clowns.
it's almost better that you didn't put it together
Yeah.
because you don't remember so much of it. Like
Right.
you're still piecing it together.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It's gonna suck if he dies.
Yeah.
Baruch, yeah, that'd be fucked up. I mean, I still have you guys to like help me fill some stuff in, but
Yeah.
maybe not me going overboard and fucking getting eaten by crabs. But
You guys, let's make up the funniest shit that he like. If he doesn't remember anything, let's just plug all the holes. With,
Oh,
like,
give him
weird
false
stuff.
memories.
Yeah.
Insert
Yeah.
false memories.
I don't know if that'll work. I barely like.
Well, we'll
I'm just
see.
like when I met you, I was like, no idea, no idea who
Who's
this
this
guy
cat?
is.
I didn't know cats got this big.
Yeah, the cats are allowed on the boat. What?
Oh well, yeah. You used to always give me. It was our tradition. You'd give me a portion of your gold.
Yeah, dude.
Every time you earned anything.
No, that sounds right. You seem like
Yeah.
a cool guy for sure.
See,
Yeah, but him, I just have a vague recollection of cat piss everywhere. Being super mad as I had to scrub my family's quilt
Listen.
clean.
Listen, I know you're trying to be mean.
But
That's it.
yeah, I'm on to you. Fair enough. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to touch base on, or because there was a lot in this? I'd love to just what?
I just have some housekeeping.
Oh,
Check out the blog, the new blog.
we got a new blog. It's called the Crit Files Inbox,
And
you can Google it.
yeah, or a lot of the same stuff is popping
You
up
can
on
Google it.
dnd.medium.com or dndpodcast.medium.com is another source
Right.
for that. So
You can get your ass on over to dndpodcast.medium.com or go to dndpodcast.org. And I don't know, is there any links to it on the podcast?
Well, I mean, there's like a menu header that says the
blog.
Crit Files Inbox.
Ooh, there's a menu header on dndpodcast.org and go to Crit
Or-
Files Inbox.
Just Google it.
Just Google.
or you could just Google it, idiot.
I don't know. Honestly,
Google.com.
I don't know if that'll work.
Go to google.com and in the search field type D&D podcast medium. Let's see what happens. I'll go ahead and do it right now.
In real time. Here we go.
Oof. Yeah, it's not looking good. Wait. No, is that us? Starting a D&D podcast? That's not us.
That's not us. We've been doing this
We've
for a
been
while.
there,
Yeah, a couple years.
Yeah, it's
You know
not
what?
looking good on on Google, but I'm sure if you
mean-
refine your search history.
They don't need to. I told them the exact address to go to.
But just in case,
Google it.
No,
just in
just
case
Google it.
you're a
Yeah, but then,
fucking
Red
idiot.
said a few other addresses, and so
Okay,
they all got knocked out of my head. Even
Hotmail.com.
D&D dndpodcast.medium.com. You can go ahead and find our latest blog entries there and enjoy yourself while you read.
All right, let's wrap this up.
And
Please.
until next
Yeah.
time, folks, we will return here next Monday, wherever you found this podcast. And we'll be back with our regularly scheduled session, finding out what the boys of Quilton Bay are up to. Because we're back, baby.
A name? Quilton Crew?
Quilton Crew's all right. I think we could.
I
keep
think we
thinking
gotta.
about it.
We'll workshop it.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it out there. I just thought
We'll
of it.
figure it out in game. I think.
Figure out what your purpose is.
I just
always
love
an
alliteration.
accident.
Quilton Crew is good. No, that's a solid alliteration.
But I should ask, what about the school that we all went to?
Alistair's All-Star Academy.
I like
Speaking
the
of alliteration.
It's a little long.
Okay. Meloria's Mathematorium.
Triple M.
Meloria's.
Melora's Mathematorium.
I liked Meloria's better than
Yeah,
Okay.
Meloria wasn't the god. That was like just some kid named after
Yeah.
Melora. Meloria, she grew up, became like the headmistress of the school.
Right.
So it's
Kind of like how I have
Meloria's.
a friend named Jesus.
Yeah, I guess. Doesn't really feel all that similar, but
Really?
it's more like how you have a friend named Maria, you know?
And you worship someone named Mary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
There
the
you go.
Catholics
So it's kind
do.
of the same.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
Catholics
yeah.
do. Yeah. So
Okay.
Meloria, Maria, you can see kind of how I got there.
Okay.
And the less stupid.
Okay,
route that
wrap
you
it up
took.
already, Brett.
Anyway, we'll be back here on Monday. Until then, grab your sword and keep on adventuring.